Well, hello there. Welcome back to the Andrew Culture Positivity Podcast. It's been a little while, but we have a guest here. We have a guest who has been on the show before, and the last time this particular guest was on, it was quite a revelation. I learned things about this guest that I did not know. Fascinating things. And I tell you what, we probably ought to introduce yourself. Dear guest, honoured guest, what is your name?
Hi Andrew, I'm Sam from Happiness Club. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, absolute pleasure. So this is Sam Brook. I'm going to give you your full title. And the last time you were on this podcast was October 2020. So almost exactly 4 years ago. And back then, I learned that you were a part of the Egyptian Revolution. And that turned out to be just one thing out of many that I didn't know about you, despite the fact we've known each other for a while.
Yeah, and I think I was actually supposed to come on and talk about Happiness Club, but we ended up digressing, we mainly ended up talking about my adventures in Egypt.
Which was great. I thoroughly recommend everyone goes back to find that one. Just do a search on Sam Brook Andrew Culture Podcast or look back on previous episodes. It is fascinating. But we're here for a very different reason today. In fact, I'd like to think this episode's a bit of a celebration, really.
Yeah, it is, definitely. Shall I expand on that or?
Ooh, well, we've kind of hinted at it so far. So Sam is somebody that I know lives nearby me here in Ipswich, and we've known each other through various channels for quite a while. And I think it's safe to say you've led a life, or you are leading a life. I don't want to put it in a in the past tense there.
Yeah, I have led a life actually, and my other, so I'm writing 3 books actually.
3?
And one of them is my memoirs, and it's called Fucked Up, Drugged Up, Sexed Up, Loved Up.
Ah, the classic quad. So, well, there's just in that title itself, there's clearly a lot there. So, obviously, your story, which will be revealed in the book, is an interesting one. But what led you to want to write about it?
Yeah, so that is not what I came on to talk about today, by the way.
Oh, okay.
That's a different book.
You're doing so much. You're doing so much.
I know. I have stopped doing more than one thing at a time, though.
Well done.
I've got a new practice of only doing one thing at a time, completing one thing and then starting on the next thing, whereas I used to try and do everything at the same time and nothing got done. Having said that, although I am my biggest project at the moment is writing a different book. I'm also, my other big project at the moment is launching my Happiness Club online membership. So I am breaking my rule of doing one thing at a time there, but only because the two fit in together so perfectly, and I'm launching the membership off the back of the book. So it just makes sense to do it at the same time.
Absolutely. I like a bit of logical tessellation.
I'm not very good at logic usually.
Well, this is
more intuitive.
This is the thing. A lot of creative people I know, we're all guilty of starting a lot of things all at the same time and being distracted by things. Because I think we get a kick out of creation and making something. So I think you've done very well to sort of distill it down to 2 things and have those 2 things linked. So we'll talk about Happiness Club later on. So what is the book you've written it, haven't you? I mean, as far as I understand, do you have a publishing date?
I've written it. The publishing date is the 12th of December.
12th of December. So if you're listening to this episode and it's any time past 12th of December 2024, you can go and buy that book right now. In fact, I'm going to ask you, tell you, implore you. But so that people can buy the book, they're going to need to know what it's called. What's it called, Sam?
It's called Happiness Club, Learn to Be Happy and Get What You Want.
Wow. Okay. I mean, again, you're good at titles, although I kind of feel I need to know the title of the other book you're working on, or will that be too much of a tangent for now?
Oh, the other one is very different. It's a novel, and I'm not sure what it's going to be called. At the moment, it's called Ruling the World with a Magic Wand and Fairy Dust or something like that, but I'm not feeling it. I feel that title needs some work.
Oh, the titles of books, me personally, they come along once I've finished. Sort of, oh, I didn't know it was going to
Yeah,
be that.
yeah, true. That's a good point. At the moment, I'm not too worried about the title. So yeah, so I started writing my memoirs first years ago. Then I started writing the novel last year, and then I stopped that, and now I've started writing the Happiness Club book, and I've written it. So I've finished it, I've completed it.
Hey,
So that's yeah, massive. And also, just wanted to make a side note: if you're listening to this before the 12th of December, then please go to my website and sign up to my mailing list so that you can be updated on the progress of the book and the membership, if that's okay.
where is that website, Sam?
It's happiness-club.co.uk.
Excellent. I'll make sure I put it in the show notes as well. But there's a
Oh,
whole
thank
load of other
you.
things going on the Happiness Club. I said we'd talk about that in a bit. So what led to writing the book? Or is it like the book of the club, or is it a guide? How would you categorize it?
I feel that it's like a guide to life. That kind of sounds a bit arrogant. I suppose what it is, it's I've taught myself how to be happy,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to teach others what I've learned. That's it in a nutshell, really. I mean, I was on antidepressants for 26 years, and I've been off them for over 6 years
Oh,
now.
wow.
Thank you. I mean, it's a huge achievement. I'm so proud of myself. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. And yeah, I have like a route, my happiness routine, which is what I attribute really to. That's what keeps me mentally stable. And I mean, I still get depressed sometimes, but when I'm sticking to my routine, those times are much more few and far between, and they pass much more quickly.
So it's very much your lived experience and your observations on the path to happiness.
Yeah, I'm really sharing the techniques that I've learnt to be happy. So there's two kind of main sections of the book. Well, there's three sections of the book. The first section is design your dream life. The second section is learn to be happy, and the third section is about how to get what you want. And I think the thing is that people think that they will be happy when they get what they want,
Mm.
whereas actually paradoxically you get what you want when you learn to be happy. So it's like starting off with designing your dream life, but then let's take a step back and learn to be happy, and then we can go on. And the second half of the book is law of attraction techniques and manifesting techniques that I've learned that are helping me to manifest what I want and get what I want. Again, things that it's all techniques that I've taught myself either by reading books or going on workshops or retreats, and then I've in most cases I've tweaked them slightly for myself, and I'm then just want to pass on what the techniques to other people and hope that they will also benefit from them. And there's also lots of my personal stories in there as well, which I hope will resonate with people.
You've struck on something which keeps popping up in. We're not here to talk about me, but it keeps popping up in my life at the moment, and that's a really good way of learning is by teaching. So
Mm,
I can see that with the book, by becoming like a custodian, almost a gatherer of information, I can see how that for your own purpose becomes a real joy and becomes a part of that journey. What do you hope for the people who buy and read your book?
I really hope that they can learn to be more happy on a consistent basis, which is what I've achieved for myself, and I hope that other people can achieve the same thing.
Excellent. So, who's the book for? Because everybody, happiness is one of those things. No one's going to say no if you ask them if they want to be happier or if they want more
Mm.
happiness. And I guess it's quite a difficult thing to quantify. So, when people read your book, you want them to find peace and to find happiness and to develop a happiness routine. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so What do you think would be the trigger if somebody was in a bookshop and they're in, I guess, the self-help section or the spirituality section, and they were looking across all the titles of all the books? What is it about your book that you'd want to resonate, that would make somebody go, this one's different, this one's unique?
That's a very good question. I mean, like you say, nobody's going to say no. I think there are a lot of people that are already reasonably happy, so it's not for them. Probably, they might want to buy it for somebody else. So I think I hope that for people that maybe aren't feeling happy on a consistent basis, or maybe they haven't quite got the art of manifesting, that they think, oh, that's interesting. Oh, yeah, I'd like to learn to be happy, or I'd like to learn how to get what I want. And in regard to who it's written for, like you say, I mean, it could apply to anyone. And funnily enough, I was listening to your podcast yesterday with, is it Kate Caruth?
Oh, yes, yeah. I saw it just this morning, actually.
About niches.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm constantly having this argument with my partner, who's an accountant, and he thinks that I'm excluding people. And I'm like, you're an accountant, I'm in marketing. Let me do the marketing, you do the accounting. So I would say it's aimed at me 10 years ago.
Okay, no, that's a very honest and very brave thing to say. And I think, I've read a lot of not similar books, but I've read several books in the genre, I think you could say. It's an investment that I've been making myself for many years now. And one of the things that I think is interesting about your proposition, and obviously I've not read the book, is the story. You mentioned having stories from your own life in there. So
yeah.
Are they to sort of reinforce the points you're making, or are they to start off thought processes? Or
I think it's really important to have personal stories because people relate to stories. People learn so much from stories. I think it's I don't know whether it's exactly the same thing as a metaphor, but like metaphors are a very powerful way for people to learn. And I think it's also so that people don't feel alone. So they can read it and think, oh my God, it's not just me that has that experience, or, I'm so glad that other people feel the same way. And I think as well, talking about my mental health journey is important. I mean, when I first started my blog about happiness, I was very passionate about sharing my story. And I think it was around the same time that the Time to Talk campaign started. And I just feel that the more people talk about mental health, the more it encourages other people to talk about it, and slowly we're reducing the stigma.
I think this is one of the greatest triumphs of recent years, is that in my little bubble, so obviously I can't speak objectively for the whole of humanity, but in my little bubble, the ability of people to talk about their mental health and to ask for people to give them a break for their mental health has become a much more fluid conversation. It's a lot less polarizing, a lot less black and white than it used to be. You used to kind of have, I remember people at places I've worked many years ago finding out they had a breakdown and going off sick, and everyone would be like, "What? They seemed all right." And I always think now it's better. People are prepared to go to their colleagues and their bosses and ask for support. But to your point about making the conversation something that people feel more comfortable to have, I think that's something that we really ought to celebrate, that people are prepared to do that. There are so many more ways of accessing other views and other takes on life that, I see your book very much adding into that sort of, I was going to say positive stew. Stew's not really the word I'm hunting for here, but oeuvre, is that a word? Into the positive oeuvre?
I haven't heard of that word
I
before.
might
But
be making it up, to be fair. I do. That happens.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel that Happiness Club is like prevention, whereas a lot of mental health stuff is more about the cure. And so I feel that if people practice a happiness routine, then they are addressing the problem before it escalates. Whereas I did like my mental health training, mental health first aid training a couple of years ago, which is brilliant, and it's great that is, so widely available now. However, I feel like to a certain extent it's like shutting the door after the horse has bolted. And it's definitely needed. I'm not saying that at all. I think the difference with what I'm doing is that it's helping people before they get to the stage where they need that kind of help. It's not always going to work, especially if people have severe mental health problems. But I think like I say, for people like me 10 years ago, and hopefully people can learn. I mean, I feel like I'm a bit of a slow learner. I'm 50 next year, and I feel like things are only just starting to fall into place. So I hope, I started my journey when I was 21, so it's been a long journey, and it's a continuing journey. And I suppose I hope that people can benefit from my experience and learn so that maybe they can do it a bit quicker.
You raise a point which I think is really interesting, and that's treating our well-being as like a muscle, as something to develop. Because I'm going to use an analogy here, or a metaphor, I'm not sure which is which. I was speaking to a dentist recently who I work with. He's one of my clients, and he said the problem is that in dentistry, people who haven't looked after their dental health go to the dentist once the pain starts. Whereas in reality, by keeping your dental hygiene, keeping a focus on it and keeping it positive, can stop that pain ever happening. And
exactly.
I think what you're saying about mental health and building resilience makes a lot of sense, and it really resounds with me, because kind of the best time to start the journey for your positive well-being could be when you feel fine.
Yeah.
Is that right? I'm jumping around a bit here and sort
I don't know, because I've got a lot of friends that really seem very happy, and I would be, if they ever had problems with their mental health, I'd be very surprised. So I don't know whether it is for people who to start when they feel fine. I don't know, and I don't think people that feel fine would have any motivation to do it.
I think perhaps you could be right. I mean, this is the type of conversation which I think is really positive to have, because it's not something I've considered before, and from the sounds of it, might not be something that you've considered before, and that makes it a positive thing to talk about.
Definitely.
I think people who have struggled, and I've struggled, I speak very openly about it, and I've been interviewed several times about it on other podcasts and YouTube and whatnot. If you've been to those places and come back, it makes you very aware of right, I've got to get stronger now. I've got to strengthen my my abilities to spot the start of the spiral, as it were. And I think it would be really nice if more people understood that if we taught children resilience, and if we taught children the
absolutely,
basics of
100%.
mindfulness, and there is a bit of that. I've got a teenager, she's a teenager now, but when she was at primary school, they do talk about mindfulness, and they talk about being aware of self, rather than when I went to school in the 70s, we were just told to shut up mostly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the book is out in December, and as we hinted at earlier, it forms part of a larger sort of ecosphere that you've been developing for some time, and that is the Happiness Club. So tell us about the Happiness Club.
So the Happiness Club, I came up with the idea years and years ago. I think at least 10 years ago, and I've been working on it ever since, really. And a lot of that time has been me writing blog posts about my experience and sharing my tips and techniques. And I have wanted to do a membership program for a long time, and I think it's taken me so long because I was letting fear hold me back. So I'm now in a position where the fear is still there, but I'm not letting it hold me back anymore, which is brilliant. I mean, I've done, obviously, in order to do this book and develop all these techniques I've been working on myself for a long time, but in the last year I have done so much work on myself. Anyway, that wasn't the question you asked me. So so Happiness Club includes my blog posts, which were a bit hit and miss, but I'm trying to be a bit more regular with them.
You're being too modest, because
No, what I mean is I don't publish them often enough.
Oh, that's fine. I was about to get into an argument with you there, Sam. I mean, look, you're a professional writer who's done work for me, and then you were about to say the quality's hit and miss. I was going to be like,
No, not at
oi,
all.
oi.
Not at all. No, I'm really proud of my writing, actually.
Actually, should be. It's very good.
Thank you. No, that I need to publish them more often. That's what I mean. That's been the main thing that I've done over the last 10 years or so. In the last couple of years, I published an online course, which is Happiness Club for Unlimited Self-Esteem. I ran some workshops on that at what was Cult Cafe a couple of years ago, and then
In Ipswich.
In Ipswich, yeah. And then a couple of years ago, I can't believe I actually did 2 years ago. Wow, that's gone so quick. I think it was 2 years ago I started running a monthly event. So that's a monthly event that I hold at the Coffee Cell on Northgate Street in Ipswich, which is it was very much about focusing on the positives. So we start off with I am affirmations, which is a way to embody what we want to be or what we want to have. So, for example, I could say, my name is Sam and I am serene. Or my name is Sam and I am sassy. Or my name is Sam and I am wealthy. So that's how we start. Then we focus on gratitude or something we're proud of. So we all talk about something that we're grateful for or something that we're proud of, because gratitude and talking about what we're proud of helps us to rewire our brains so that we start focusing on the good things that we've got in life, and focusing on what we're proud of is really, or something we've achieved, is really helpful for our self-esteem. Then we do a mini coaching session. I found that that's not so popular, so I've now changed that so that it's a mini coaching session, or people can have an angel card.
What's an angel card?
An angel card is similar to a tarot card. It's guidance for life, really. So you can either ask you can ask the angels a specific question about something that you want guidance on, or you can just ask for a message of the day. And I find that that helps to relax people more. They feel more comfortable with that than just just in front of everyone asking for coaching. That sometimes people do ask for coaching, and every time everyone's like, wow, those angel cards are so accurate. I'll do one for you one day, Andrew, if you're open to it.
So we're talking about, at the moment, these are kind of in-person things that happen.
This is an
here in
in-person
Ipswich.
thing, yeah.
But am I right in thinking the Happiness Club has an online facet to it?
So so just after the book is launched, I'm launching my online membership.
Woohoo!
And that is going to be weekly coaching sessions, group coaching sessions. And the first half will be setting and achieving goals each week. So each week will the first thing we're going to do, which is I'm doing a free masterclass, which is the prerequisite for the course, which the pre-master class is Design Your Dream Life. So it fits in really well with the book. Then during the weekly sessions, we're going to set goals that will help us to achieve that dream life. So we break it down into baby steps and take a baby step every week. So that will be the first half of the session. The second half of the session will be a topic of the week. So it will start off with basics of happiness, which will cover the things that my techniques for learning to be happy. The next part will be learn to get what you want. It will be techniques for the law of attraction and manifesting. So it's very much based on the book, but it will be more in depth because it will be coaching along with it.
I can see how the two things kind of fit together very neatly now.
Yeah, and then there'll be also two sections on life skills, which will be things like overcoming anxiety, making decisions, dealing with overwhelm, anger, difficult relationships.
So it's a very practical happiness club then. It's
I
not
think so,
it's
yeah.
not just all in the head. It's techniques, and it's
all techniques, pretty
things
much all
you
of
can
it's
take away.
techniques, yeah.
Well, this sounds absolutely fascinating. So the book is either out now, or is coming out soon. Now I'm going to focus for a moment on the people who are listening to this before December 2024. You mentioned a mailing list. Is it happiness-club.co.uk the best place to go to get onto that mailing list?
Yeah, happiness-club.co.uk. I think it's /sign up.
Okay, brilliant. I'll make sure
be hopefully self-explanatory.
it is /sign up. I've got it up here on the screen right now. Okay, brilliant. I really appreciate your time, and just want to celebrate the fact that you've written a book and you're publishing a book and 2 others. And and just want to say, do you want to leave us with any final thoughts? It never feels fair when I spring that on people.
No. My mind has gone completely blank. I would say just like I've already mentioned, gratitude. Gratitude is such a powerful practice. Take some time every day, if possible, write it in a journal. Write down a few things that you're grateful for, or just think about things that you're grateful for. But and then notice. You won't notice straight away, but after a few months, you'll look back and you'll think, "Oh wow! Since I started doing that gratitude practice, I can really see how much happier I am, and how it's like I'm very woo-woo. I feel like it helps you to get in rhythm with the universe, and the more you're grateful, the more you attract other good
I
things.
totally agree. I've been doing happiness journal in some form or other for probably a couple of years, and consistent. I just use an app. Been doing it consistently every day. Yeah, it probably is about 1.5 years, 2 years now. And it's really interesting looking back at what it made me realize about my own life is how consistent the things I'm grateful are. But it's also a very personal thing, so I'm not gonna share it. But it's just an interesting thing. Okay, Sam, we got to go. Thank you ever so much for your time. I will put the link to your website in the show notes, and it just remains to say goodbye. Do you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, goodbye, and thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.